Of course. So now the regulatory agency is changing this, but like I said, don't expect the regulatory agencies to lead. And secondarily, with those 5,000 ICOs that are still there, the duration only makes them look good. So caveat emptor, buyer beware. Guys may have seen some of this on YouTube. I generally like to put this up there because this is what's cluttering YouTube. If you watch some of these videos, they're fantastic. They're really entertaining. And they really make me feel like my Lambo is just one call away. It makes me want to call, I swear I want to call the Lamborghini dealer here in New York City and say, listen, next Thursday I'm going to be there. I promise. And I just pick out the color. Because that's what I feel like doing after watching any of these videos. This guy actually has a Lambo on his video. Right? So it's great. We all deserve a Lambo or whatever else that inspires you. However, know that there's a measured approach that you need to take. Every single one of these people, yes, has been in the space, or maybe I'm missing one or two, but most of them have been in the space less than 2 years. They've been in the space less time than you, for the most part. But if you go around and tell people, oh, I know something about crypto, people will probably dismiss you like, that's Stacy, what the hell does she know, that Tom, what a fool, right? However, these guys have been in this space less time than you, but because they use the instrument of information exchange called YouTube, look at their views. 372,000, 538,000. If that doesn't smell like a bubble, I don't know what does. Because that's called the blind leading the people who are hoping for a lemon. Because greed is what drives some of the Bitcoin space that everybody wants it. Don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think greed is a bad thing. Greed can actually define your life in the right way. Not in the Gordon Gekko kind of Wall Street way, but in a way where you thirst for better for your life. There's nothing wrong with that. We all deserve better, and we should aspire for it. But we're all coming into a space where there's lots of riches to be made, right? You may have a fantastic idea. If you're looking to go into this space and come up with a fantastic idea, great. Go for it. I say go for it. Just do it. It's far better to live a life, I know it's a little philosophical, but far better to live a life where you try and fail, but then you never try. So just do it. We all tried and tried and tried and failed until one day we became successful at something when you were very young and you didn't give up. If you gave up, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be able to walk in here because when you learned how to walk, you fell. You failed. And somebody said, no, get up. Walk again. You failed again. You fall flat on your face. What do we do as adults? I'm not doing that again. I'm not touching this sucker. I failed, man. The only way to know how to do something right is to do it wrong. I'm from NYU Stern School of Business. When I was graduating, the president of Sony came to do the big speech. So I was kind of bored. I was already on Wall Street. I could care less. It was an entertainment for my parents, for them. So I was just kind of like trying to rush. He said something of value. He said somebody asked him a question like, how did you come up with all those great ideas? Because that guy was Steve Jobs before Steve Jobs. He came out with the Walkman. He came out like, Sony was king. Sony was Apple before Apple. Sony was king. So, people asked him, how did you know how to hit it right? Like, you're a genius. He goes, oh, it was very easy. And he paused. So, people in the audience were like, what the hell? This guy's so arrogant, thinks he knows everything. He goes, it was very easy because I made every goddamn mistake. There was nothing left but to succeed. I failed at everything. The failures you just don't see. Just like for the rest of us, right? Nobody says, yo, do you know how much money I lost on Ripple? Call only goes out when you say, I made $100 on Cardano. Meanwhile, we lost 5,000 on some other stock, or ICO or whatever. And you didn't even bother to mention it to a soul. You kept it all to yourself. And that is part of the problem, because then we go around thinking everybody's a goddamn winner and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Right? You go around thinking, well, you know, Tom's smarter, Jennifer is so much smarter than me. My God damn it, I make all the stupid mistakes. And then you start berating yourself. We've all been there. So, but we don't realize that, you know, the genius has failed so many times that you consider a genius. It's just that they're not going to go out and advertise. So recognize we're all in the same boat together, and nobody's smarter than anybody else. So where do we go from here? This is the most important part, right? So fine, you've got some history, big deal, you know. What's the future? The future is yet to be defined, and the pyramid structure has to change. Is it going to change instantly? No. But we will make inroads into the pyramid structure. How? Well, back in the day, I tried to start a business off of blockchain to title assets. The ones that can be titled, cars, real estate, and the ones that can't be titled, watches, phones. But I went to some of the investors that I know on Wall Street, and I gave a great presentation, and they loved it, and I was like, oh man, this is a shoo-in, I'm so set. Like, I had a whole team, dev team, everything ready to go. And at the end, they said, you know what, fantastic presentation, we learned a lot, but Jayden, you have a good name, you know, we respect it. Why do you want to waste your time in this Bitcoin garbage? So, you know, perceptions have changed, they're changing. Those same people are now running to acquire Bitcoin. You know, so things have changed, and the future is continuing to change. Now, the same titling of assets concept, in Vermont, they're already doing it. They're titling assets on the blockchain. Some company came in, I gave up a long time ago, you know, so I don't care about it. But so that's happening. There's a DMV in another state, I can't remember which one, that's putting titles, car titles, on the blockchain. The country of Georgia is doing the whole country's real estate on blockchain. So that way everybody knows who owns the property. And Georgia is a small country. So we're chipping away at centrality to achieve decentralization. So we are working here, right? And we're going to go here. But this part is still there. Anybody want to guess when we'll be able to tackle that part? Anybody? How many years? If I 5 years? Sounds like a nice number, right? Before your car loan is paid off, we will have gotten rid of the man. But reality is that as smart as we are, you know, the more means that you have, generally you surround yourself with people like ourselves. So you become smart, and they will assimilate. So the powers that you're trying to upend will not be upending. They will have joined the party. How do I know? I advise companies, I'm part of groups, and I can tell you there's a buying spree on Bitcoin, and it ain't from you, because your orders are quite small. They're standing orders for $100 million, $200 million, $500 million. They're just looking for the Bitcoin. Whoever's got it, instant, ready to close. So that can be mom and pop. Who do you think that is? By investment funds. So they're coming in big. So a morphing of Bitcoin is happening, and what I'm saying now, if back then if I knew what I was saying now, I'd be like, oh man, that really sucks. Because our whole fight was all about having a new system, right? Having some change. But assimilation is something that I began to learn over time that it's going to be the way forward. So all the people that you think we are fighting or against or whatever, you know, to get to decentralization, we're all going to have to see each other as being on the same team. Because whether you like it or not, we are fast becoming all on the same team. Because by them having the instrument of control to power, they can buy and join. That you won't see out there because these standing orders are not public. But now you know that things are changing and everybody's becoming a part of it. Anybody know how many Bitcoins there are total to be in circulation? 21 million. Does anybody know how many of them have already been mined or a percentage of them? 80% are done. And Bitcoin mining ends in 2140. But in 2032, which is not that far away if you do the math, 99% of Bitcoin will already have been mined. So then we're all going to be the miners. I have a mining operation. The miners will be fighting for 1%. So irrelevant of that 1% over the long term, in the next 17 years, the remainder of the 19% will already be mined and be assigned. Oh, and by the way, another side note, just in case. If those standing orders can't be filled, who do you think they're asking to help them fill it? A collection of us? No. They're going to the miners and saying, hey miners, how about you work out a deal with us? So eventually, will you even see it? It gets mined and goes into the system, right? And then you and I have an opportunity to buy it. So, but if it goes from the miners to bigger players, then you will be buying from the bigger players. So effectively, when you're buying your Bitcoin and you're like, yes, fight the power, I got a Bitcoin, or I got a portion of a Bitcoin. So that's what we're going to have to start doing, portions. But are you really buying it from, you're buying it from the same operation that you aspire to change. So I don't mean for all of this to be a downer. The future is all about what else is out there. And that's what you need to see. You need to see what else is out there and how this space will morph and change. Because just recognizing that the powers that be are already on the bandwagon and have a lot more money than you to deploy to this, then you can recognize that there has to be other aspects, other ways for you to control it. I did bring one other prop for you guys. It's a quartz crystal. What the hell does that have to do with this? Well, because it comes from Mother Nature. And we all come from Mother Nature. Why is quartz crystal important? Because it has one of the highest rates of vibration in a consistent manner. And that's why you have a quartz watch, right? Because it's so reliable that we build watches on where Seiko and all the Casio and all these other companies don't feel like you're going to sue them because they're late for a meeting, a very important meeting, because your clock's vibration was off based on the quartz. It's that consistent. Well, we, the populace, if you look at that pyramid again, we're all down here, right? So we, the populace, are resonating and vibrating that we need change. Change is something we need. So we already know that. By them joining the bandwagon, it just means, okay, well, what else is up there? Because why would you need what else? Because a lot of the old Bitcoin people are purists, which is fine, I'm one of them. But that's somewhat the equivalent of saying, pretend that this is the iPhone 1.0. It's great, it's revolutionary. But if in 2017, somebody says, man, iPhone 1 is the bomb. What's this iPhone 10? That's bullshit. It's just iPhone 1. I'm a purist. Well, iterative changes are the way of the future. In your own life, in technology, certainly is the rule. So this is a tech-based invention. So why wouldn't it have an evolution? And it certainly will. So keep your eye open to other opportunities, other instruments of value, because that's what Bitcoin is. By the way, Bitcoin is truly an instrument of value at this point, because if I were to give you a Bitcoin right now on your phone and tell you, listen, why don't you go out and buy a car? You know, you always wanted that car, go buy it. It's like 8,000, you can buy a nice, you know, decent used car. You'll be like, Jayden, are you crazy? In a couple of years, I'll buy a house with it. Or a condo.